Good, everyone. I hope you guys have an amazing day. So, if you remember, in the last episode, I talked about ethics by design, right? Which is a pretty good topic. I wanted to cover one important guiding principle. Um, uh, that is these five principle, which is very important from an ethical point of view. And the thing is that, right? Let me take a step back, right? We live in a society where things are governed by ethics, and there is a valid reason for it, right? We human beings have a responsibility and a moral responsibility towards the fellow citizens, towards the planet we live in, and the community, right? We live in, right? And the things has to have we gotta have a moral framework, right? That's what differentiate us from an animals, right? Otherwise, there's no difference between us and animal, right? If you got no ethics or no moral framework in place. So the same concept applies to when you build a solution, build a software, right? It has to have a guiding ethical principle behind the scene. Yes, we talk about different aspects of design. We talk about architecture. We talk about beautiful, tech stack we're going to use. We talk about, how amazing, the thousand or 50,000 lines of code you're going to write. That's all great, but the something which sits at top of it, that's the guiding principle, ethical guiding principle. The number one is a human right. The way, you know the kind of software, kind of design you come up, you have to make sure that it upholds equal and unalienable protection, right? So which is very important, right? Your software somehow should play a role, or your design, right? And the privacy. Yeah. So when we design, right, I did mention about in my previous episode as well that why privacy is important. You got to understand, customer data. You got to protect it because some customers are bounded by GDPR law. So you have to factor those, right? And if you don't factor those, the biggest problem will be you're going to end up in violating, a lot of policies and compliance, which is not great. I mean, you can hide it under the carpet, but at sometimes it will come out, which is not great, right? Okay, the third thing, the safety. We have to ensure that the software what you build should not cause harm to the people. You should not build like a software which go and target people, which go and hurt people, using a drone or whatever, right? Not happening. That's very unethical. I get it. You can bring the military example, but military is a different topic. I don't really want to get into it because military exists to defend your country, right? So there is a difference between a military operation and a regular person going and targeting people, right? Using a software and honesty, right? So we have to make sure that if you build a solution, right, you should not spread disinformation. Like, for instance, there are a lot and lot of vaccine misinformation been going on, right? Like, for instance, when the COVID vaccine came out, right, people said, oh, it got nanotech in it, it got this in it. Yes, it does contain the nanotech. That's called lipid nanotech. The whole purpose is to deliver RNA to your cells because you can't directly inject RNA. It will not. It will be very unstable. So the only way you can do it, you have to package it, and using nanotech to deliver it. That's it. That's a cutting edge tech, and that's for to target, those cells, which are prone to, the target those the cells which can cause issue, right? So this is an RNA based tech, mRNA, right, which is responsible for generating proteins, right? So I don't want to get into genetics. That's one area I've been involved a lot these days because of my climate change foundation. But what I'm trying to say here is that, right, sorry if I digress, that you got to have a solution in place which should not increase racism, disinformation, hatred, violence, or any kind of harm to other population, right? And inclusion. This is very important. You should be talking about the diversity. You should be talking about different kinds of people, different kind of gender, people with no gender, right? I mean, people needs to be respected based on their opinion, right? Based on who they want to associate with, right? Who they want to identify themselves. It should not be anyone's business, right? if they wanted to associate with this gender, no gender, or this race, that race, right? Or this religion or no religion or whatever. Your software should be inclusive. You should be working on a design which should be inclusive of it, right? Which is very important because we are in 2023. We are not in 1800, right? Where all kind of bad things used to happen. And I do get it. Many people might have a problem with it, but they just need to get used to it, right? This is 2023, right? Inclusion is one of the biggest factors. If a company or a solution does not talk about inclusion, I personally will not like to associate with it. If a company does not talk about honesty, if a company does not stop disinformation, does not stop, you know, hatred or violence, if they are social media, I just don't get associated with it, right? Because this is a moral issue for me. So the same way, you know, most of the customers, right, loyal customers to the business, they stand for certain things. And if the company stand for something, you will get loyal customers. You will get customers who will stay with you for a long duration of time, and you'll be surprised the loyalty base you can develop, right? Because we have moral responsibility. We are, if you're designing a solution, designing a product, we have moral responsibility towards our community and towards our society, right? Our software, our design should be in such a way that it should serve everyone equally and should, serve the purpose in a better way. That's all I wanted to talk about, right? So this is a very good guiding principle I wanted to mention. And so, although ethics by design could involve lots and lots of stuff, right? But this is something I think is very important and the core guiding principle. So that being said, I hope you guys have an amazing Thursday. Adios.